Here we go. In clinic, you know, you know what it's like. You probably see it when you drop your kids off to daycare or to school. It's getting, nowadays in society, it's getting to be the norm to have that green snot that kind of goes between your nose and your upper lip for kids. Generally I'm seeing a lot more sickness than I'd probably say when we were kids. What sort of things am I seeing in clinic? Obviously the snotty nose. This winter in New Zealand, I'm in Nelson, New Zealand, lots of coughs that seem to last for, sometimes in kids it's lasting 3 to 4 weeks. Quite a lot of croup over here, bronchiolitis, eczema, asthma, the usual sort of childhood diseases. I'm also seeing a whole lot of kids with gut problems, so complaining of sore tummies, and the medical model can't really do anything for them. They say they'll grow out of it or it's just a virus. And I know for the parents of these kids, it's not just anything. It's literally really affecting their kids at school, and therefore really affecting parents, because, of course, you've got to take time off to look after your little ones. The other thing that I'm seeing a lot of is, I hate to call them issues because they're not issues, but they do, the medical model clumps them into behavioural issues. But, quite a lot of kids coming in diagnosed with ADD or autism and stuff like that, and children that aren't sleeping well. So it really varies from one thing to another. And I'm seeing a lot of parents that are really, really busy with their life, and they're quite confused. They come in quite confused with, look, I don't really know what to do, what to give them, what to do with the diet. And also, obviously, they come in and say, look, my kid's a really fussy eater, so I don't want, people come in and they go, please don't tell me to get off gluten and dairy because what am I going to feed my kid? So I get that. I totally get that, and I understand that. But at the same time, there's a few things that I've learned over the 20 years that are really starting to help children, and I'm starting to see a pattern of what's happening. So food allergies, let's start there. Favourite subject. With the bioresonance machine, I do allergy testing, so food allergy testing using, little vials of food and putting them into the machine. And, sort of before that, I did a lot of kinesiology doing food allergy testing. And, I'll be totally honest, the two major food groups that come up time and time again, and you can guarantee they're going to come up in anyone with eczema or asthma or gut stuff, is wheat and dairy. And you probably already all know that. But some parents just don't like to hear that. And, I know what it's like. It can be really, really difficult to start to even contemplate pulling back on wheat and dairy. To be honest, most of you guys probably already have your kids on minimal wheat and dairy. That's why you're on this call, because you're into health. But, gluten, I get asked, what about gluten? It really depends. Everyone's an individual. But if you're going to put into a big spectrum, wheat and dairy are the two things I see the most, and sometimes gluten as well. Obviously, the sugar thing comes up with parents. I don't think I need to cover that subject tonight. We all know what refined sugar's like for ourselves, let alone for our kids. Am I a Puritan? No. So please don't put me up on some health pedestal and think that I know it all. I don't. I'm discovering things as I go along. I've got a 5-year-old boy called Bo who's very, very beautiful and very, very challenging. As most of you, nod your head if you get challenged by your kids. Oh, come on, everybody nod. Thank you. Don't feel so abnormal now. And, we've sort of brought him up. He knows about wheat. He knows about dairy. We explained to him, why does his lunchbox look different than some of the other kids? He understands about sugar. And, at one point I thought, shit, have I taken this too far? Because we went to a party and, they were doing the piñata and all the lollies fell on the ground and he didn't run for them. I went, what's wrong? What are you doing? He's like, Mummy, they're full of sugar. I was like, oh, shit, I've ruined him. So, there's obviously a balance, and we say that to him, we're not absolutely strict on his diet, but we kind of are. So as much as possible, guys, that just decreasing the wheat, decreasing the dairy, looking for the alternatives. And I'll be totally honest, with dietary changes, all diet it's a habit, right? when you walk down the supermarket aisles, you probably grab the same things. When you're planning, if you plan your meals for the week, they're probably the same things. So what I would suggest is, like on a Sunday for me, I sit down and I get all my cookbooks out and I refer to all my favourite websites and I come up with a 7-day meal plan. It's not just for my son that I do it for us as well, and I do it for the ease of being a parent, to be organised. So get out all your cookbooks, write down 7 meals, and, you know, on a Sunday we have a lot of spelt. So people that are kind of intolerant to wheat, sometimes they can handle spelt, and I know for my family that seems okay. So I'll kind of plan Sunday, cool, I'll make spelt rolls. If you've got a Thermomix, yeehaw, thank goodness, love it, love a Thermomix. I kind of think that when people have 3 kids, they should automatically get sent a Thermomix because, geez, if you don't have one, it will save so much time in the kitchen.
See my beautiful friend Terry?
Yes.
Hi, Ted Head.
Sorry, guys, this is my high school friend. So what sort of websites do I go to? Okay, if you've got a pen, jot these down. quirkycooking.com.au. She is my absolute favourite. If you've got a Thermomix, I'm just going to mute everyone. Yeah. She's also just come out with a program. You would have heard of the GAPS diet, most of you, gut and psychology syndrome. A diet written by Dr. Natasha McBride, who has a son with autism, and she came up with a program all about restoring your gut health. And you look, the GAPS program can be absolutely nuts for some people to do. You've got to be fairly organised, and sometimes it can be really stressful. So the quirky cooking lady, I've forgotten her name, she's come up with a 6-week GAPS program, but you use your Thermomix. So if you've got one, just have a look at that. Another favourite website, glutenfreemum.com. glutenfreemum.com. Another one, superhealthykids.com. Another one by a local lady actually here in Nelson, one of my friends, homegrown-kitchen.co.nz. And I also love another one called My Darling Lemon Time, which I know is quite a mouthful, .com. If you didn't catch them, just contact me on Facebook and I'll send you the list. So the other thing people say to me is, okay, if I can't do the wheat and dairy with my child so much because I know it's starting to affect their health, it gets really expensive. So over here in New Zealand, I don't know what about you guys in Australia, but over here we've got a company in Auckland called Ceres Organics, and you can set up a wholesale account with them as long as you spend $300 a month. So you can start a co-op. I'm sure you guys in Perth can kind of look into something like that. So that kind of covers diet, just pulling back stuff that is highly allergic. And, you know, my whole belief and what I know from 20 years in the business is that the foundation of our health lies in our guts. Most of you already know that. It really is the foundation of our health, and we're starting to see that through science now. So they've now, know we have an enteric nervous system, which is the nervous system inside of your gut, and it's like our second brain. Basically, 95% of serotonin, your feel-good hormone, is found in your gut. So what we're seeing, and through books like The GAPS Diet with Dr. Natasha McBride, is that there's an amazing connection between children's behaviour and their gut. And so goes with adults' behaviour and their gut health. So we're noticing as we start to pull back those highly kind of stressful foods in kids that their behaviour can really start to change, and that they stop. Hopefully we can stop them being lumped into behavioural issue kids that go through school having massive problems and then, prospectively getting put on medication. So definitely starting with the gut. The other thing we've got to remember with the whole immune system thing with kids is that, 70 to 80% of your lymphatic tissue is in your gut, is in their guts, their little tummies. So it's really important when we look at pulling back those highly allergic foods that we're actually giving the lymphatic system a bit of a break. You probably already know it, but if your child's sick, just please don't go and give them heaps of dairy because it's really congestive. The lymphatic tissue in their gut doesn't move properly, and it starts to affect the immune system. So the third thing with the gut is we always talk about the microbiome, okay, which is the gut ecology in the gut. So, you would have heard of Candida and Acidophilus and probiotics. So really what we want to do over time is get that microbiology balanced back inside of the gut, because it's actually the microbiology in the gut that are the housekeepers of the intestine. So if the microbiology in the gut is not happy, they can't do their job, they can't clean the house, they can't clean the gut properly, and then that's when you can have problems moving in, like the candida starts building up. The parasites can start to move in. And I do see quite a lot of kids in clinic that have kind of candida issues and definitely parasitic issues, and that load on the gut is extremely hard for them to deal with. Sometimes the parasite thing, you'll get kids that are grinding their teeth a lot. They can't sleep. So sometimes sleep can be due to a parasitic issue as well. So how do we heal the gut? What can you guys do for your kids, right? So we talked about decreasing those kind of harder foods to digest, which, as I said, just go out. There's so much information on the internet now that you won't have to feel alone. You won't have to feel lost. You just have to be able to Google, basically. And there's so many resources out there now for recipes. So decrease the allergens, increase good food. How do we heal the gut? Well, one of my favourite ways of healing the gut is through bone broth. And again, you probably all would have heard about it. It's very, very popular now. But it goes back hundreds of years. If we just started to eat a little bit more like what Nana did, we'll probably be a whole lot healthier. So how do you make a bone broth? Again, please just Google the recipe, because there's so many things out there. But the key to it is getting bones that are really, really high in collagen. So you want to go for the marrow, the knuckles. I know it sounds a bit gross, but even chicken's feet and stuff like that. The stuff that's high in collagen. Obviously, if you're a vegetarian, this might completely turn you off. So please don't sue me for talking about meat. But basically, it's like a really, really slow simmer. And over that 24, it's great to do it for 24 hours. And you can chuck other things in there like, garlic and da-da-da. Google the recipe. But what happens in that time is all those minerals that are locked up in that bone and the amino acids like the proline and the collagen and the glycine and the glutamine, all very big words, but all that healing goodness comes into that broth. And so when you eat it or when your child eats it, it is the food that our guts need to heal. It's the food that the cells need to heal. And you've probably all heard of leaky gut. Again, please Google it if you haven't heard of it. But we're seeing so much in clinic now, leaky gut. And it really is the start of the cause of so many autoimmune diseases. So again, we're just coming back to the basics. Heal the gut, heal the gut. So bone broth, fantastic. And of course, now you can buy it. I'm pretty sure you can buy it in Perth and in New Zealand, but it's pretty simple to make, to be honest. Number 3, how do we heal the gut is the microbiology, which is what I talked about before, decreasing the candida and the not beneficial bacteria and increasing your acidophilus levels of your child through probiotics. People always say to me, do I need to put my child on probiotics? And it's, nowadays it's fantastic because I drive around town and I see, in the health food shops and even on the chemists, they've got like the friendly, fun acidophilus bacteria. I think it's by Ethical Nutrients. And so even doctors nowadays, thank God, are finally saying, okay, after you've given your child antibiotics, you need to take probiotics because, of course, the antibiotics kill everything, including the beneficial bacteria. So do I think kids need to take probiotics? If your child has got a compromised immune system, if they've got eczema, asthma, any sort of disease state going on, yes, absolutely, for a period of time until you get their gut health, their gut strong. But you've got to do it in that multi-layered approach with the food, with the bone broth. So we've got to heal, we've got to get the microbiology correct. It's got to be a combined effort. Once the gut is strong, and you'll see it because your child will no longer be getting, they'll be improving with their symptoms, then you can start just probably relying on the fermented foods. I'll be honest, I give my son a probiotic. It's in the fridge. We make super smoothies and I always just chuck a little bit in. It doesn't bother me. It's not like I'm asking him to swallow a pill. It just goes into his smoothie and he doesn't really know. So, yeah, fermented foods, fantastic, if your kids will eat them. Okay, so sauerkraut, some kids just go, are you kidding me? Kombucha can be a great way, and you can get them involved in making these things with you. Like, I'll be really honest. Like I said, I'm not perfect, not a Puritan, but we had our kombucha growing and it was all going well, and then we fell out of the habit like these things do, and then it kind of just got pushed over to the side in the kitchen. And Bo said the other day, he goes, Mummy, we haven't been feeding the SCOBY. I said, I know, so we had to get a new one. But, you can put that on their chores list. Feed the kombucha, really start educating them, getting them involved in the things that you're doing with their health. Educate them about why. Why does their lunchbox look different? Why are they not having a white bread sandwich? Why is Mummy cooking bliss balls or making raw bliss balls on a Sunday instead of buying a pre-packaged muesli bar? And if you've got a Thermomix especially, my son loves, like Sunday, it's like, okay, Bo, cool, what do you want for your lunchbox this week? Do you want muesli bars? Do you want bliss balls? What do you want to make? And we sit down and we do it together. And, it's such a gift that you can give your children from such a young age, is inspiring them to be healthy now and being able to make choices for themselves as they get older. Okay, so that's the gut covered, I think. Number 2, boosting your kids' health, fruits and vegetables. Pretty basic. We heard it when we were kids. Our parents heard it when they were kids. Fruits and vegetables are a superfood. They're just not trendy. Okay, so superfoods have overcome them, but they are absolutely and utterly packed full of available micronutrition. Okay, so fruits and vegetables contain nutrition, vitamins and minerals that are bioavailable, meaning when we eat them, when your kids eat them, their bodies can choose what they need to take out of that nutrition. Okay, we know people that eat plants are healthier than those that don't. The trick is with kids is getting those plants into them. Okay, I see a whole heap of fussy eaters in my clinic. And, when Bo was young, I tried to hide stuff, as we all do. Good old tomato pasta sauce with zucchini grated or carrot grated. So as much as possible, we can get that stuff into them. But I'll be honest, my son just doesn't like salad. I've tried it so many different ways, but he just doesn't love it. And I would probably guess that I didn't love it that much when I was a kid either. So what do we do then? Where do we reach? We usually turn to supplementation. I just think that if you can get your nutrition from fruits and vegetables in terms of a supplement, then that's fantastic. And that's when I had first heard about Juice Plus through my friend Nat. It just made complete and utter sense to me. So most of you on the call probably already know it, but it's 17 fruits and vegetables for the kids' soft chews, grown to full maturity on the vine, pulped, including the skins and everything, and then just dehydrated so the water component is taken out. So for the kids' soft chews, which is what I give Bo, he loves them. But for him to love them, unfortunately, they have to be sweetened. And I do get Puritans that go, it's got sugar in it. And I say to them, yeah, that's cool. You try and get your child to eat it if it doesn't have some sort of sweetener. Juice Plus chooses organic evaporated cane syrup and tapioca sugar. So we're as close to the plant as you're going to get. And I personally don't see that much difference between that and maple syrup. I'll be honest, it's still from a plant. So, the serving for the kids is the same as the amount of fructose. I think it's in an orange or in half an orange. I don't have a problem with it. I do have foodie friends that just go, oh my gosh, and I go, look, do I make him muesli bars on the weekend with maple syrup and honey or sometimes Rapadura sugar? Yeah, I do. And you know what? Sometimes as a special treat, if he's having a birthday, do I use a bit of icing sugar? Yeah, I do. So what? I think we just need to get over ourselves a little bit sometimes too. So these are the kids' fruit chews and veggie chews. fantastic, easy to get into your kids. It's 2 and 2 veggie, 2 fruit, okay? It's super simple. Ends up being about, in New Zealand, ends up being about $11 per week. As far as I'm concerned, that's very affordable for my child. And I'll be honest, because I know I'm giving that to him and he loves it, I don't worry so much if he hasn't eaten his broccoli, all the pieces of broccoli on his plate. Because for me, it's a total insurance for him as a child that he's getting that level of nutrition every single day. Juice Plus has a children's health study, which I absolutely think is incredible. So when an adult gets on the Juice Plus products, they actually get to sponsor a child for free. And I just think that is phenomenal. They have a children's health study where they collate all the questionnaires back from the parents about how it's helped their child's health. Look, all I can say is from my experience, Bo took a lot of synthetic supplementation before Juice Plus. I had him on all the best naturopathic lines, you know, and it was always a mission to try and get them into him, mixing it up in, you know, juice or whatever to try and get him to down it, and it was quite hard. Whereas with the Juice Plus, he just loves it. He takes it, and he's got a real awareness about fruits and vegetables from it. And, yeah, his health, like I have to say, it's really good. You know, he's been on it for a year, and he did have a cold in the last school holidays, but it doesn't go on and on and on. It's like 3 or 4 days, sniffly nose, and then it kind of goes. So touch wood, he hasn't had anything major. So I really love that. So that's fruits and vegetables, fantastic. What else can we talk about for your kids? So my fundamentals in terms of supplementation for my son, and this is all I can talk is from what I do for my child. Number 1, like we talked about, is the Juice Plus. Number 2 is an omega-3, 6 and 9 essential fatty acid. So essential meaning you have to eat it to get it into your body or into their bodies. What was that? Sorry. Somebody just put in the chat. Jo Witten. Yes, that's her name from Quirky Cooking. Thank you, Justine. So back to the omegas. I used to give Bo the Nordic Naturals, little kids' chewables, and I think they're a really good brand, and he does like the flavour of them. But I've actually discovered a new product that I love better, which is Udos oil, UDO''S, Udos oil, because, again, from my point of view, if you can get it from a plant, get it from a plant. So it's all plant-based omegas. So we're not dealing so much with the whole sustainability issues and tra-la-la, all that stuff. And how do I get that into him? Well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to line him up like probably some of you guys had. I never had it, the cod liver oil down the throat. That's child abuse, surely. So what I do is I just make a big super smoothie. Sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes it's for the after-school snack. And I just throw, you know, if I'm making Bo and myself a smoothie, I'll put in 2 tablespoons of the Udos oil. So, yeah, that's his omegas for the day. And, you know, we eat other stuff, obviously, and superfoods and chia seeds and things like that, which also contain omegas. So fundamentals, Juice Plus, some sort of omega, and number 3 is the probiotic/fermented food. Okay? If you can do those 3 staples for your children's health, I'm not going to say I guarantee it, but I would really be surprised, and you started to cut back on that wheat and dairy thing, I'd be really surprised if your child's health didn't start to improve quite phenomenally. They really are my 3 fundamentals, not only for children but for adults as well. So daily rhythms for children. A good breakfast, obviously hugely important for them because, you know, school is intense. My 5-year-old's I kind of oh gosh, that's a big day for him. So he's got to start off with something really good in his tummy. Lots and lots of water. That's a challenge, I have to admit, for my son. He's not naturally one of those kids that scull water, unfortunately, even though his naturopath mum is constantly at his back, speaking of water. So it is a bit of a mission, but, you know, I just keep reminding him and explaining to him why and saying when you're tired at school, how much water have you drunk, because your brain can't concentrate without water, okay? You're just dehydrated. Super smoothie once a day, like we definitely do that. I make my own almond milk at home, so if you don't, because we try not to have so much dairy, and I used to have a lot of processed soy milk. I don't have that so much anymore. We just make almond milk, and if you don't know how to do it, Google it, because it is so simple and you will never ever buy it from a carton again once you make it at home. It's just creamy and beautiful and super, super simple to make. So what do I put inside our smoothie? Well, we use the Juice Plus products, so we do a complete sachet, something like that, which is great amount of protein. So I do almond milk, I do the complete protein, or you can use no protein, it doesn't matter. This is just the one we have every day, okay? Almond milk, Juice Plus, I put the Udos oil in it, a handful of greens from the garden, whatever's growing at the time, some fruit, whether it's a banana or some frozen berries, some ice, and then I superfood it up. So it's got the Udos oil, I chuck the probiotic in, and then go for your life with whatever superfoods you've got in the cupboard. You know, sometimes I'll be like, Bo, come over and choose whatever you want, and we just throw it in and we whiz it up and off he goes. So other ideas, you know, with smoothies, it's pretty simple. You can just let them, if you introduce them to the smoothie world and let them decide what they want. So all you've got to choose is a base. So your base is either, hopefully, you know, not dairy-based so much, but let's say you do almond milk or coconut water or coconut milk. Choose your base, add your fruit / vegetables, add your protein, which is like either yogurt, and I know I said no dairy, we'll talk about yogurt in a minute. I didn't say no dairy, I said minimize dairy. So yogurt or LSA mix, etc. for the protein. Add in a good fat, whether it's avocado or coconut flakes or flax seeds or the Udos oil. Nut butters are great inside smoothies for kids, tahini, etc., and then superfood it up. So it's pretty simple. Only your imagination can stop you really with smoothies. And it's kind of cool for them to be able to just, you know, get introduced to grabbing what they want for the day. So some ideas, I'll give you a couple of recipes. Coconut raspberry smoothie, anyone? Oh, yes, please. Coconut milk, raspberries, chia seeds, coconut, like flakes, and either some dates, honey, or maple syrup. Get the little kids on the blender. They love it. Get them a little twisty straw, even better. Banana split smoothie. You know, and what I would say is start to get your kids involved, like when you go to your farmers markets, and get them excited. What fruits are we going to have in the smoothies this week? Come home, cut it up together, you know, get them on the knife, not the crazy ones, but I mean, not the kids, not the crazy knives. So get them cutting up the fruit, bag it up, put it in the freezer. It makes it really easy. Make it nice and fun, kid-sized little, you know, baggies, and then they can go in the freezer and go, oh, cool, I feel like having this today, Mum, in my smoothie, and get them to concoct it together. So banana split smoothie, frozen bananas, cacao powder, almond butter, almond milk, a little bit of vanilla extract, and dates. Super, super yummy. And then I love the incredible Hulk Shrek smoothie, which is coconut water, a handful of spinach. I'll be honest, I've never tried kale in a green smoothie with my son. I'm too scared because I scare him off it forever, so I stick to spinach. Frozen fruit, you know, half an avo or a banana to make it more creamy. Chia seeds, again, add your sweetener if your child needs it or wants it. So there's just some ideas. As I said, if you want the recipes for those because you didn't catch them, just Facebook message me and I'll get them through to you. And what are the other daily fundamentals? Exercise, so important. And I think we've gone away as a society, haven't we? Like probably when we were kids, or even when our parents were kids more so, it was like you get home from school and you get outside, right? Nowadays, we're busy. Mums are busy. They've usually got 2 or 3. Sometimes the younger kids are needing a nap, da-da-da-da. but we have to let them run around. We have to let them move their lungs and their lymph systems and play. It's really important. You know, I often say, you know, my son's like having another dog. I have to run him because if I don't run him, it's really hard to get him to go to sleep. I don't blame him because, jeepers, it's pretty intense in school. I know what I'm like after a whole day in the office, and the first thing I want to do when I get home is go outside and go for a walk, and they're probably the same. So exercise, vitamin D, hugely important for their little growing bodies. Great sleep is really important. Lots of love and cuddles, just as important as the food. And quality time, one-on-one time with you guys, and that's hard. I know it's hard, and that's where I've struggled lately. My son started completely going berserk last week, and I lost the plot a few times. And, you know, last night I was Googling, oh my gosh, peaceful parenting, how do I do it? For the 20 millionth time since he's been born. But I realised, you know, my husband and I have been really busy lately. We haven't spent that real down on the floor, one-on-one eye contact quality time with him. So that's just as important. And one last thing that I do want to touch on tonight is EMF stress, electromagnetic frequencies. So our kids, probably not yours because you're on the call because you're awesome. Our kids are a plugged-in nation, and it's only going to get more and more and more. I know that in some of the schools here in New Zealand, it's all computer as they get older. And definitely in clinic, I'm seeing kids, because I can test with the bioresonance machine, I'm seeing kids that are showing up with electromagnetic frequency stress. And if we could see EMF, and what is EMF? It comes from here right now, us sitting on the computer, on our mobile phones, you know, satellite TV things, mobile phone towers, Wi-Fi. If we could see how much we are getting bombarded with those frequencies, I think we'd probably freak out. Never before in history have we had this much EMF exposure. So what's it actually doing to kids is, you know, they get home from school, some of them in high school, they're on a computer all day, they come home and they plug in. They're on the iPad, they're on their mobile phones, and then, oh gosh, I saw this little boy, or not little, he was probably like 16, the other week, and he said, yeah. I said, do you sleep with your phone next to your bed? He goes, yeah. I went, do you turn it off? Nah. He goes, oh, no, I just chuck my computer under my bed. I'm like, oh, my gosh. So the first thing I would say, what can you do to help your kids is turn the Wi-Fi off at nighttime when everyone's finished with it, because it's still a frequency that's getting sent out through the house. You know, as much as possible, try and limit their time on electric devices, because it is starting to affect their health without a doubt. And, you know, you can buy things like this. This is called a Q-Link. I've got one for my son. I wear one, and I've got one for my husband. And they just kind of help to protect your family or your bodies or their bodies from the effects of EMF. I just bought mine online through a site in America. I think it's called Q-Link Products. But yeah, absolutely. If you're sleeping with your mobile phone on next to your bed, not good. Okay, so lots of mums do it because they need to see what time baby's waking up. Just go and get a little battery, not a plug-in one, in the wall one, just a little battery clock, right, next to your bed instead of your phone, because again, it's just emitting the whole time that it's on. So yeah, that's EMF stress. And I do know that with kids, you know, it really can disrupt their sleep. And it can start to zap the nutrition out of their bodies. So that's EMF. What else? Well, I think that's all I wanted to cover, actually. So, yeah, basically, good luck with your kids' health. Hopefully that you got something out of the talk. Please feel free to expand or to Facebook message me if you have any specific questions. I'll help out as much as possible. And I've just checked through the comments here. Oh, there's quite a few. Love the twisty straw idea. Fantastic. Many people don't realise how much calcium is available in leafy greens. Yes, vitamin C amazing in citrus fruit and kiwis. Absolutely. Oh, good one. Best ways vitamin C. Blackstrap molasses for kids. Yeah, so leafy greens, exactly. And the highest form of calcium is in sesame seeds. So tahini, throw a bit of tahini into those smoothies. Love the twisty straw idea. What about airport mode? Yeah, look, I don't know. You'd have to Google it. But I know for me, I just still think it might not be emitting, but it's still got to be emitting something. It's still a device, right, that's doing something. So as far as I'm concerned, I'll just turn it off. It's not a big deal. Thank you so much. Thank you. Can you start smoothies with kids from the moment they eat solids? Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Noreen. Great. Have to run. Good. So the only other thing is next Monday night, I'd like to invite you all. I'm going to be doing a Mums on a Mission event, which is going to be the same time. As I said, if you want to get updated with, when the next, I'll be doing these kids' health talks every 4 weeks. So you're welcome to invite people onto it next time if you know anyone that needs some tips and tricks. Any other questions? Anyone? Are we all good? Good? Okay, I really thank you so much for giving up your time tonight. I hope that tonight you can walk away with something. Obviously, if you wanted to order any of the Juice Plus, either contact me or contact the person that got you onto or invited you onto this talk or told you about the talk. Look, you're all doing a fantastic job as parents. We all are. We have to remember that and pat ourselves on the back because it's a bloody hard job sometimes. But look, all I can say again is the absolute greatest gift that you can give your kids is good health. I don't want to ever diss what my mum and dad did. They didn't know that there was another way, and that was in the 70s when processed foods was really trendy. But my health was terrible as a child, and I was that eczema kid that you saw. I was the snotty nose. I was the asthma. I was the glandular fever, all of that. So just the simple fact that you're on the talk means that you're already, 90% in the game, and maybe just need to tweak a few things, or maybe some of you don't need to at all and you're already doing such amazing things. So well done. And thank you for listening. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks, guys.